How you doing, guys? Malik over at Modern Pawn. The first sharpening system that we're going to cover in this series is the Spyderco Triangle Sharp Maker. It's this little box right here. I've had these for a long time. This product's been out for many years. It's a time-tested, true product. It's a really good, inexpensive household use level sharpener. I don't think this is, I would say, an industrial or professional use, but I think very handy to have in the house. Let's open it up, see what's inside. So the nice thing about this, or one of the nice things about this, is that the actual base holder is the case. So you've got inside two grayish brown stones and two white stones. Now, these stones are ceramic. They're very hard ceramic, and they will break like glass. As you can see, this one right here has been dropped, and when you drop them, if you're lucky, they won't break in half and they'll just chip on the end. So you got to kind of be careful if you have like granite countertops or tile floors. Like, see this one? That one fell on the tile, it broke. Not a big deal. It's still the system is still totally useful. So you've got two white, two grayish brown, two little brass rods, the lid and the base. That's the whole system. Surprisingly, this little kit right here can sharpen almost anything in the kitchen. It comes with a DVD, which I don't have here. The DVD gives a full, very in-depth explanation of how to sharpen everything and what to do and exactly how to do it. So if you buy one of these, most people look at the CD and they throw it in the trash and they move on. Take the CD, put it in the player, watch it. The DVD that they did with the Sharp Maker is really good, and it explains everything in depth. So I'm going to give you guys kind of a quick review on this. The way it works is the lid clips to the body like this, and it gives you a place to hold. Then there's two little holes right here that these brass rods go in, and what these brass rods are guards for your holding hand. Then you take the little triangle shaped rods, and they can go in one of two ways. Either like this with the corner facing inward, or they can go in like this with the flat facing inward. So in essence, what they did here was make two sets of stones like four different grits, if that makes sense. So the first thing that you do with these, if you're going to start setting up a bevel, is you're going to set them in like this with the corners pointing in. This is the same thing over here, except this is a 30-degree angle, and when you put these in there, it's a 40-degree angle. I don't know if they'll fit all at the same time. So yeah, that'll give you an idea right there. So this is a 30-degree angle, and this would make it a 40-degree angle. So it's a little wider on this one versus this one. So one of the limitations to this system is that you only get two angles in which to set your knives at, which I would call this, it would be like a 30-degree back bevel or a 15-degree edge if you were using like a Wicked Edge or an Edge Pro. It'd be 15 degrees per side for a total of 30 degrees. Generally, when I refer to an angle, I refer to it as the angle versus the center line of the knife. So if you have the center line of the knife, this is an imaginary center line, and you have the bevel like this, and then the rest of the knife goes here. These are the angles of the knife. So if this is, 15 and 15, this would be a total of 30 degrees, but I don't say a 30-degree edge. I say a 15-degree edge, 15 on each side, or 20 and 20, 40-degree edge. With the Spyderco Sharp Maker, what you get is a 30 and a 40-degree side. So that would be a total 30 and a total 40 degree. And with that, you basically get two options, either a 20-20 or a 15-15 on your knife angle edges. So with this, you set these in here like this. The little lid has a notch that clips on like that. And the only thing you do with this system that you have to concentrate on doing is keeping the edge, the knife, vertical versus the center line. So if you're going to take a knife and sharpen it, the only thing that you would have to concentrate on is keeping the knife vertical. You don't want to come in like this, and you don't want to come in like this. So as long as you keep the knife vertical, this edge system works extremely well. So what you got here is a classic V-rod sharpening system with a little modern twist, the way they do these ceramic stones. These stones have sharpened tons of knives, and they've got no belly, no dip, no hollowing. It's ceramic all the way through. It's not a ceramic grit with a binder, so these do not require any maintenance other than cleaning them. These stones, the way I clean them is the scouring side of a sponge, like the Scotch-Brite side of a sponge, and Comet. What'll happen with these stones as you use them, you'll get metal grit built up into the stone. It'll load up the stone, like you can see right here. This dark color is actual metal that's like impacted into the stone. SOS pad or a Scotch-Brite pad and some Comet will get that out. Soap and water, that kind of deal. It doesn't do a whole lot. You actually have to kind of scrub it out. So knife comes straight down. That's the only thing you got to learn when you're doing this system, okay? With this system, you have really three options in sharpening. You can sharpen the knife to a 30-30, or I'm sorry, a 15-15 for a 30-degree edge. So you can get here's your center line. You can get I'm going to exaggerate these dimensions. You can go your 30-degree, you can do your 40-degree, or you can do a 30-degree back bevel with a 40-degree cutting edge. And what that means is you do the edge like this at 30 degrees, and then you come back in and you do a micro bevel 40-degree edge just at the very edge. Now this right here we're talking about just the actual fine edge of the line. You set up the back bevel on the 30, then you go back to the 40, and you just take off just a slight amount of material. Why do guys do that? Why do we back bevel a knife or micro bevel a knife? Well, what it does is it makes the back bevel, and again I'm exaggerating, this big surface right here is just this little shiny cutting edge right here that I'm drawing. So I'm taking this little spot that I colored black and I'm zooming in like that. That's what I'm talking about. That little spot right there is this. You sharpen this to 30 degrees, and then when you go in and you just take that 40 degrees off the edge, you don't have to remove very much material every time you sharpen it. So you can sharpen and sharpen and sharpen the knife 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times before you eat up this back bevel. Once you've eaten up the back bevel, well, then you go back in, you recut your 30, and then to sharpen it, it's very, very quick. If you've got a knife, like say you're a fishing guide and you had a filleting knife that you fillet fish every day, I would highly recommend a back beveled knife. You back bevel it to a steeper degree than your cutting edge, and then when you go to sharpen it, all you got to do is take off a little material to get it to edge. Take off a little material, you get it to edge, and you keep doing that. And as you eat up the back bevel, it'll take longer and longer to sharpen the knife, but it's still a lot faster than cutting the whole bevel over and over again, having to recut the entire bevel. That's what this system is set up to do. Set up to give you a sharp edge and an easy maintenance on your knife. So I'm not going to go over exactly how to use it. The DVD does a much better job than I'm going to do of going over how to use it. But I am going to give you some of the tips and tricks and some of the pitfalls that you'll see. One of the things that I see guys do with this, they get in a hurry and they push too hard on the stones. What happens when you push too hard on the stones, this base is plastic, and I can flex the base if I push too hard. And when I push, what I'm doing is I'm changing the angle at which these stones are cutting. Let the stones do the work. Just nice, easy. Listen to it. I don't want to hear, you know, like, you know, I'm not trying to bend the knife. Just a nice, easy stroke on either side will get the work started pretty quickly. Once you've done the corners and start getting it to an edge, you would then flip them. You would do it on this side. One of the things you want to concentrate when you're doing the flats is to actually have the knife touching flat. You don't want to have it on the front edge of the stone or the back edge of the stone. Even though you're holding the knife vertically, it needs to be vertical to the floor and perpendicular and parallel to the stone, or perpendicular to the base, whichever way you want to think about it. You don't want to sharpen like that, you don't want to sharpen like that. It needs to be perpendicular to the base and perpendicular to the floor. And that'll give you the next grit up. And then when you change over to the next stones, again, you do the same thing. You know, you put the stone in, the white stone in corner side, then the white stone in face side, and sharpen your way up. So you got like a 4 stone progression. You're really only using 2 stones to get like a 4 grit progression. Again, one of the limitations of this, when you do get a new knife or a knife that's never been sharpened on the Sharp Maker, you basically have to reset the bevel because you don't have any flexibility on where the edge is going to be set. One of the things we do to check the bevel is a Sharpie. So what I'm going to do, I already did it here, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to take a Sharpie and I'm going to mark the bevel nice and dark all the way to the cutting edge. When I put a stone in and I stroke the stone, I'm going to stroke this black mark just one downstroke. I'm just going to do one downstroke and see what happens. Okay. If you look real closely, I don't know if we can see it on the camera. Let me see if I can get this to show up on the camera. Can you see that, Kyle?
Yeah, barely.
Basically, if I was to draw this, here's that black mark in the bevel. The black mark was taken away up here. It wasn't taken away here. If it's taken away on the back side of the bevel, it means the original edge on this is shallower than what the 30 degree is. So whatever this edge is on this knife, it's cutting at 15, so it's probably like an 18 degree edge. I'm just making that up. I don't know exactly what it is. Probably like an 18 degree edge. If I was to do it on the 20, let's flip it over to the 20 and see if it takes it off. When I did that, it pretty much took the whole black mark off with one little stroke. I'm going to do that again. Put this black mark on here. Yeah, it pretty much takes, at the edge, that whole black mark off. Right at the edge, it's real hard to see, but it's pretty much taking off the black mark. It's wearing it off right at the edge, which means this knife is probably set up around a 20-20 edge, which makes sense to me. One of the other cool features about this system is it's got this hole over here on the side. You take this guy and you put it in here, and the video will show you how to sharpen scissors. So you actually have a scissor sharpener. I don't know where my scissors went, but you can sharpen scissors with this. It's set up for that angle. The other thing this system does is you take the box, you flip it over, and it's got these 2 grooves, and you basically have like a mock flat, you know, sharpening stone. If you're going to sharpen like this, if you want to get a specific edge, or if you needed to do a chisel, anything like that. The other thing, they groove these stones on one of the 3 faces, and that'll allow you to do some tip repair or hook sharpening, needle sharpening, anything that's pointy you can sharpen using this groove right here. So a really versatile, compact, inexpensive system. We sell these at the shop. I've sold lots and lots of the Spyderco Sharp Makers. It's a great system for that. It's also one of the few systems you can touch up serrated knives with. And when you touch up serrated knives, basically you do the same thing as a knife sharpening, but all you do is use the V edges. So if you're going to take a serrated knife like this, it's all serrated, you know, you would come in and do all the work on this serrated side right here, you know, slowly draw it through the stones as you come down, and then once you started developing a burr on the back side, you would come in and take the burr off the back. All this is covered in the video of the Spyderco Sharp Maker. So it's a really cool little system. I think it's a great travel companion. If you were to, say, go camping or go on vacation, maybe you're renting a house, you know the house that you're going to rent's going to have crappy knives guaranteed. That's just kind of like a rule of thumb right there. The rental houses have dull knives. Something cool to take with you. I normally keep one of these with my fishing stuff. Works real good on touching up filleting knives. Again, the Spyderco Sharp Maker is a very cool little system. Some of the downfalls to it are you only get 2 grits. The 2 grit thing, you're not going to get a mirror polished edge with this system. I don't care what you do, it's never going to get to some people's standards. The other thing that is what it is the base is a little flimsy. If this was like some kind of like a piece of milled aluminum, it would be much stiffer. I think you can get a more consistent polish on the edges, a little flatter bevel. The other thing that it is a little slow if you're going to have to reset a bevel, especially if the bevel's far off from where the 30 or 40 degrees is. It does take a little bit of stroking to get the material off, but the learning curve on it is I would say very easy learning curve. Most people can pick this up pretty quickly, and you're not doing anything powered where you're going to ruin a knife learning how to do it. So Spyderco Sharp Maker, great tool. If you have all kinds of different sharpening equipment, I think this fits into anybody's collection of sharpening gear. It really definitely comes in handy. This is Malik Afro, we're at Modern Pawn. Stay safe.